Hello people, in this video today I would like to talk about how to get rid of accents when you're speaking English. Now a lot of people worry about their accent when they speak English or any other language, but mainly we'll be discussing about English. Now why, as I mentioned in my earlier videos, it's not actually so important to if you have an accent when you speak English. That's okay. But however, nowadays, if you want to work for bigger companies, for larger companies like large car manufacturers or any other international organization, they care about your accent. So if you have an accent, you can't work there because when you have an accent speaking English, that causes a lot of misunderstanding. It's hard for people to clearly understand what you mean when you're speaking. So that's why it's important. And a lot of it's not only among learners of English, but also the native speakers who come from, like, let's say the UK. And they're native speakers of English, but still they've got some accent or different dialect, which is hard to understand, and it is not acceptable. There was a case. I read an article on BBC when a journalist, a sports reporter, he interviewed a tennis player, and the tennis player was French or Spanish, and he asked him a question, and the player had a hard time to understand, and so the reporter had to speak slowly for the athletes to understand him. And he was asked to fix his accent and to speak to speak a normal or more common accent of English, like more common dialect, which is broadly practiced and known and easily understood and comprehended. So a more legible English. Like if you're, it doesn't matter if you're speaking American English or British English. The accent, the dialect, the way you speak should be clear and should be more common. So, like for instance, like a Turkish language. If you think of Turkish language, the clear Turkish language, which is broadly practiced, is the language that is spoken, is the Turkish that is spoken in Istanbul, and just like that, it is really important to speak the formal language, the formal English that is spoken by, for example, let's say, like, which is taught in English, like English schools, in English primary schools and high schools, and which is used by diplomats, which is used by politicians, and which is also used by spokesmen and reporters and journalists that you hear on TV. And that's the common English. So if you want to speak an English without an accent, and that's the common English that you should be able to copy and learn it, because that's how you will be easily understood throughout the world. Now, a lot of people brag about and boast about, like, they try to learn slangs, and they try to show off with the slangs, and they try to say something that people wouldn't understand, like, this thing frets me, this thing doesn't fret me, and you start to think, like, what does fret mean? And which was used by a British designer, like, once, to say, like, and he was working in France or somewhere there, and which is not very common, and not every person knows that, like. But the common way to say that is, like, something frightens me. It frightens me. So that's the common English. That's the common correct English, and that's the formal English that is demanded in all international organizations. And when I spoke about car manufacturers, a lot of great car manufacturers, especially the Asians, they require all their employees to speak English, the formal English, and Even the menu in the cafeteria is designed in English, so that all the procedure, all the documentation is done in English. And by 2020, it is also said that English will be more popular than it is now, and will be used more broadly than now. Even though there are many other languages which are also international languages, which are also becoming more popular. And so that's the thing. Now how can you do that? First of all, you have to understand that you have to realize that you have an accent. That's what I also mentioned in my earlier videos. So if you're speaking with a Russian accent, and you don't know how to get rid of your accent, you should work hard. It takes a lot of time. Or you speak like a Mediterranean accent, like "Hello, my friend," all right, and you have to get rid of that too. You have to understand that you speak this accent or that accent. You have this kind of accent, and it's not really similar, or it is the same as the native speakers. So when you understand that, you will be able to fix that. Now, what is the why do we have accent? What is the reason that we have accent? Now, language is like again, it's this from the article that I read, and language is like music. So every language has a language frequency, and the frequency that a normal human can hear is between 20 hertz and up to 20,000 hertz, or hertz or hertz. No, it's hertz. So hertz. All right, and we are able to hear sounds between these frequencies. Now, every language that people speak has its own frequency, and the reason for having an accent when speaking a certain language is because your language frequency is different from the language frequency of the foreign language that you're learning or trying to speak. In this case, this is English. And I came after reading this information, I understood why, for instance, people who speak who come from a bilingual countries, bilinguals who are bilinguals, and they speak two languages, they don't have an accent when they're speaking foreign language, and that's the reason, because their brain is used to different frequencies, and it's easier for them to learn a language. And I've been thinking a lot, why, for instance, the Kyrgyz people don't have an accent when they speak English. But the Turks and the Russians have an accent when they speak English. Now I have a perfect answer for that. The reason is Kyrgyz people speak two languages, and the Kyrgyz and the Russian, which is also the second official language in Kyrgyzstan. And because they have the two different language frequencies, it's easier for them to adopt and adjust to their brain to a new language frequency, which is English. And they are able to speak English without an accent, even though they speak slowly or with occasional mistakes when they learn a language. They still speak it without an accent. I cannot. That's why I cannot imitate the Kyrgyz accent, because they don't have one. They don't have one. But Russians, Turks, and a lot of Middle Eastern nationalities, when they speak English, they have an accent, and that's because they've been studying and speaking the same language, only one language, which is their mother tongue, all their life, and it's hard for them to switch to a different language frequency. And so how can you get rid of that? First, you need to spot your accent, and the only way you can get rid of it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. You have to. Sometimes it can take more than a year. You have to work on it. You have to listen a lot of information in English, and you have to practice more. Speak a lot, and that takes time, and it takes a lot of practice. read a lot of audiobooks. Then instead of just reading books, like when you listen and follow the text, that's how you can fix your accent, and you can get rid of your accent. And that takes a lot of time. In some cases, in most cases, it might even require you to live in a foreign country or in a native speaking country. So you have to work on it. Just first of all, you get spotted, then you need to work at it. It takes time, and then you can easily get rid of it. And one other thing at the end of this video I would like to mention is the language frequency, the sound. For instance, a dog whistle. There is a dog whistle. When we whistle, we don't actually hear that, but like the dogs can easily hear that, and that's what frequency is about. And every language has its own frequency, and that's the reason why we listen, for example, to Chinese people. Why I personally listen to Chinese people speaking. I sometimes think that they're fighting or they're quarreling, and because the language frequency is high. Yeah. All right, that's it for today. Hope you can easily get rid of your accent, and I think you can manage it.